Uttaram yat samudrasya himadreschaiva dakshanam varsham tad bharatam nama bharati yatra santiti. The landmass that stretches north of the great ocean and south of the Himalayas is the land where the progeny of Chakravarti Samrat Bharat lives. India is the land of Shri Ram's dharma. India is the land of Shri Krishna's karma. India is the land of Arjun's courage. India is the land of Vyas and Valmiki's epics. India is the land of Kalidas's literature. India is the land of Parshuram's anger. India is the land of Durga's heroics. India is the land of Saraswati's wisdom and Lakshmi's opulence. India is the land of Varahmihir's astrological aptitude. India is the land of Shushruta's medical prowess. India is the cradle of all human civilizations. India has bravely held on to its roots even after an onslaught of Islamic and Christian rule. India is a country that never gives up. Yet, India is a country that seeks validation from the West these days. That's not the India I identify myself with. That's not the India I want to identify myself with. Hi and welcome to TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm the group founder, Atul Mishra. In this video, I will tell you why India should stop being the good boy of the world. Let's begin. Let's be frank, India is not as confident on the world stage as many think it is. Sure, there have been many victories for India in the past few years. By and large, however, India continues to be considered an underdeveloped, poor and backward country. While we can go on and on about how the West and the developed world have a spectacular problem in opining about India, there must be a realization within our country too, that we have failed to become a nation that is unapologetic, proud and independent of global opinion. India suffers from an inferiority complex, and it pains my heart to say that it does. We constantly seek validation from a bunch of entitled nations who continuously view us as a lesser entity. A series of recent events have proven how India is motivated to always be perceived as the good boy of the world. The mindset is self-destructive, not to mention a major cause for the world not respecting us as it should. Indian diplomacy lacks an element that in today's times is crucial, that of being a badass. We are ashamed of being unapologetic, and when we are, we compliment our candor with loads of caveats. India is ranked among the most polluted and most unsafe countries. It is clubbed along with authoritarian states. Indian democracy, the West says, is evaporating. There is no press freedom in India, they say. India is not a major player on the world stage, they argue. India is a nation of rapists, they opine. Yet, India, for reasons best known to its rulers, constantly seeks the validation of these faceless entities. It is now time for India to realize that no matter how well it behaves, what all it does to promote world peace, and whatever decisions it takes to abate climate change, it will never really be able to make the cut to be considered a superpower, because India lacks confidence. And it is not badass enough when it comes to foreign policy. India recently supported China for the Beijing Winter Olympics. Why did it do so? Who is it trying to please? The answer is obvious. At the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow, India made some big bang and potentially debilitating promises to the world. India will achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2070. What will be the impact of chasing such a deadline on the Indian economy? Only time will tell. India should have made it clear to the West that its developmental trajectory will not be hampered due to the sins of the developed world. Climate change is a phenomenon whose responsibility lies solely with the developed world. While the developing countries are still in the process of achieving the full effect of their respective industrial revolution, developed nations have burnt their fair share of fossil fuel back in their 1700s and 1800s during their economic revolutions. The same is yet to happen in the developing world. To uplift the countries out of poverty, they need developmental work, which comes at the cost of pollution, at least till the time sustainable practices become affordable, or the developed nations pull in to make it sustainable. But the West does not understand this rather rudimentary explanation. So what does India do? Toe the West line? India is self-sufficient. It does not need the world. It eats what it grows, yet it keeps pumping money into the UN, which by far is the world's most useless and pathetic organization. When India can survive by itself, why does it try to please the UN and the countries that have a monopoly over it? The most baffling development which has occurred is this. India just released 5 million barrels from its strategic reserves, meant for emergencies only, to cool off global oil prices. The United States is suffering from a 30-year high inflation. Oil gallon prices have shot over the roof in the US. Therefore, the only purpose which the strategic release of oil had was on oil prices in the US. The entire effect of this exercise, meanwhile, was barely visible as oil prices remain high around the world. So who ended up losing 5 million barrels of oil from its strategic reserves? India. Japan released oil too, sure, but Japan survives based on US's support. Why does India need to placate or please Washington? What has Washington ever done for India? How many terrorists has the US killed for India? How many wars has the US fought for India? In fact, in 1971, the US sent an entire fleet to challenge India as we embarked on a mission to dismember Pakistan. India needs to give up on its fascination with the West. It needs to stop being the good boy. For its own sake, India needs to grow a bit aggressive. India must stop being preached and must start preaching to the world. The world will listen to us only if we speak. However, if we refuse to grow the might to stand up to the world, we will forever remain an insignificant entity, always hoping to be noticed and appreciated. India needs to wake up, and the push for such a policy change must come from Indians themselves.